February the 6th, 2012, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Meeting has been called to order, looking at the adoption of some minutes, Committee of the Whole minutes from January the 16th, regular open meeting from January 16th, special open from January the 23rd, and Committee of the Whole minutes from January the 30th, all 2012. Is there any comment on any of those minutes, errors, omissions, changes, alterations, deletions? Hearing none, they will be adopted by consensus. Any business arising from those minutes? I don't see anything listed here. Late items for the agenda. Is there any late items to be added onto the agenda? No late items. That agenda will be adopted by consensus. There was no discussion on that, I take it, Council. Hearing none, adopted by consensus. Bringing us to delegations, and the first delegation will be. We don't have them. Oh, yeah, delegations. I'm sorry. Let me just.
There's no.
I believe there are any.
Okay, I'm sorry. It was a letter. I saw the Desert Center folks sitting here, and I thought, well. They must be making a pitch. So there were no delegations, no water matters. Moving into correspondence, correspondence from the BC Retired Teachers Association, volunteer role in the community. Council's wishes on that were. Yes, Councillor Ryan.
Well, I would say that we receive it, and we have many of those retired teachers sitting in the room. And they are all involved in one way or another in our community. So I think that the content of the letter is proven in our community.
Thank you. Thank you. So that was a motion to receive, I take it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes, okay. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. I didn't have a seconder on that, sorry. Councillor McCordoff. Now can we have that vote again, please? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next one is is the Desert Center funding request. Report from CAO, Mr. Remanko, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. In front of you, you have a letter from the Desert Center asking for actually two things. One is funding for this year, and also a request to be included as a line item in this year and future budgets. The Desert Center has made application and received funding from the Community Grant and Aid Program in the past. In 2010, the center received $15,000 and $12,000 in 2011. On January 16th, the center made a presentation to Council on their activities and outlined that they will be developing a 5-year business plan. The center has previously made a similar request to Council for budget line item status versus having to make application for annual funding on a project basis. Past councils have not approved the center's request for line item budget status. The museum is the only organization that has budget to line item status. It must be noted that this status doesn't guarantee that the requested amount of funding will provide it. The museum's annual request for funding must be reviewed within the scope of the overall municipal priorities. The major advantage of being a line item is that the support can be used for operational or capital priorities at the discretion of the organization. And even though they are a line item, the museum still has to account annually to Council on the expenditure of their funds. The situation the center finds itself is one that often faces volunteer organizations and most funding bodies, is that they prefer to try and receive funding in such a manner that they can spend it according to their priorities, and that being operational or capital. Many grants only allow for capital projects. On January 16th, the presentation spoke to the program, services, economic, and environmental benefits of the organization. They also outlined their situation relating to attempting to secure core funding to enable their sustainability. Currently, the Grant and Aid Program doesn't really assist the center in its efforts to secure long-term organizational stability or their annual operating pressures. They want to make application for a grant for a capital project, but the capital project may be secondary to their priority for operational funding. just reviewing the application in terms of community economic and environmental development is enhanced by having the Desert Center continue to operate. The budget is currently being developed with the opportunity for this request to be considered within the review of other community priorities. We present two options at this particular point in time, and one is to provide the Desert Center with a response that their request for consideration as a budget line item is denied, and encourage them to apply to the Community Grants and Aid Program. And the second one would be to move the request to the budget process for consideration as a line budget item. And we're at this time, the administration is recommending option number 2.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Romanko. Council, please. I'll just throw out a few items to get it rolling a bit. Yeah, I certainly understand where the Desert Center is coming from when I was actually on the board of the Desert Center, and to get these people to come every year seems to be, it gets a little long after a while, and I see some of the faces there, and they've been coming here for a long time, and you the process is almost sort of coming cap in hand, and I think we're always trying to encourage our volunteers, and we understand the value of the Desert Center, and certainly we heard just last week that they do between over 8,000, between 8,000 and 10,000 paid admissions a year, and as a resort municipality and a tourist community, we certainly need that, because the first thing that people say when they walk in, they check into the hotel, they're there and they go, "What can I do? What's in town?" So we really have to do that, and I'm getting it onto a line item in the budget, that's a big step. And through all this process, the only ones that ever made it was the museum. But maybe we can look, we have to look at that. And that is the recommendation, and maybe we can find a way to make this work a little bit better, because I understand why you just don't want to be here year after year after year, trying to support a real good addition to the town of Vesuvius. Now, Council, please. Councilor Ryan.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I would certainly like to move that we do include the Vesuvius Desert Center in our budget process for consideration as a budget line item.
And a seconder on that, Councilor Plant. Any further discussion, please? Councilor McCordock.
Could I just say, I'm wondering if Mr. Hassan has his eye on any other community events. He seems to do very well in the museum and in the Desert Center. I'm wondering what other what else he's going to take on and try and approach council for. You're doing a good job. It's all right.
Well, that was well stated. Thank you. Any other discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. So we will be forwarding this to the budget process, which is coming up two big days, 15, 16, or 16, 17 of February. So we'll start kicking that around, and hopefully we can find something that works a little bit better than it is now, and show you that we really do appreciate volunteers in this community. So thanks a lot. Next item on the agenda is revenue anticipation bylaw. Mr. Romanko, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. At the last meeting, the council had to renew their line of credit with the Bank of Montreal. Section 177 of the Community Charter allows the municipality to establish a bylaw to provide for the borrowing of money in anticipation of revenue. Bylaw 1285 received first 3 readings on January 16th. This bylaw authorizes the municipality to borrow up to $1.5 million to meet current expenditures and pay amounts to meet the municipality's taxing obligation. This is a line of credit that is set up with the Bank of Montreal. If this operating line of credit is used, the revenue from property taxes must be used to repay the monies borrowed. And the options are to renew the line of credit and for council to adopt revenue anticipation bylaw number 1285, 2012.
Okay, Councilor McCordock.
So move that we renew the line of credit.
Okay, and seconder, Councillor Ryan. Any discussion on that? Pretty straightforward. Any questions? Director, Councillor Plant.
No, I just thought I'd say, I just asked Barry again, we haven't used this before in previous, we've never had to use this before, or?
That's my understanding, that
Okay.
we've never had to use it before. Again, it's there as a line of credit to use between now and when we in fact collect taxes, and we have been fortunate enough that we have sufficient operating cash flow to enable us to pay our bills before the taxes come in for this year.
Yeah, I just thought that would be important for the public to know that, you know, we do have this here, but we haven't had to use it as of yet, so.
And it is legislated that we have
Yeah.
this backup, so. Anything further? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Under bylaws still, bylaws under H2, soil deposit and removal bylaw for adoption. This is new and it's been through the preliminary readings. Mr. Paget, please, our senior building inspector.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Just turn it on.
You have to turn it on.
there.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I have some good news regarding soil deposit and removal bylaw 1275. It received its third reading as amended on January 17th, 2011, and was then sent back to the province for ministerial approval. The bylaw has received statutory approval from the provincial government, and the document has been signed by the Minister of Community, Sport and Cultural Development. Bylaw 1275 is now ready for adoption. The options are as follows: to adopt soil deposit and removal bylaw 1275, to propose amendments to soil deposit and removal bylaw 1275, or to not adopt soil deposit and removal bylaw 1275. The implications of the bylaw provides the town with a useful tool to ensure soil removal and deposit takes place in a professional manner. The grade of existing building sites cannot be altered to a point that will cause an increase in building height. Organizational implications: bylaw 1275 will be administered and enforced by Planning and Development Services staff. And for the budget, bylaw 1275 will generate some revenue in the form of permit fees. Under sustainability, bylaw 1275 accords with the sustainability plan by regulating the quality and quantity of soils entering or leaving the town, and also provides some safeguard to protect our existing watercourses, environment, and public and private property where it's necessary to deposit or remove soil for development. And our recommendation, staff recommends that council adopt the Town of Osoyoos soil deposit and removal bylaw 1275.
Thank you. Do we have that resolution, please? Councillor Ryan, Councillor Plant. Discussion. What does that really mean to the layperson on this bylaw? Are we gonna? What does it mean if I'm building a house or pushing some dirt
Well,
around?
there's a limit, a minimum limit of soil to be deposited on a site, so the average single-family dwelling won't be affected, and that was
Okay.
purposely allocated within the bylaw. What we're really after is large volumes of fill. For an example, in the upcoming development we have in the old gravel pit,
Sure.
there's going to be countless truckloads of fill coming to
Okay.
that site. We need
Okay.
to know where it's coming from,
Okay.
if it's been on a contaminated site,
Okay.
and we need to know the quality of it and whether or not it's structural in its nature or just organic fill.
Right.
So it gives us some a really good tool
Okay.
to ensure that all the fill that's brought in is regulated.
Okay, and I guess that would work, although I probably wouldn't apply very often, but it also work on soil removal then too.
Same thing.
Same thing that,
Yeah,
we're
if
not
we have
gonna.
a large volume of soil leaving, we want to make sure that we know what site it's coming from and whether there are issues with contamination or environmental issues or protection of neighboring property, any of those things.
Okay, all important. Any Councillor Ryan?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I'm really happy to be able to move to adopt this because it was something that I've been trying to push along for a number of years. And the other thing that it contains is, which I particularly like and which has been an issue here, is it has dust control. so that when a site is, whether it's being removed or there's excavation or deposit, that proper procedures are in place for it to protect against dust. And that was, I know, a big problem on when one of the developments was happening on Cottonwood Drive, that many of the people were bothered by the dust. It was a particularly windy summer, and it became quite an annoyance. So it's good to see it back. It took a long time to go from here to Victoria and back, but it's here now.
Yep.
And on that note, that was I believe it sat at a ministry desk in Victoria for 10 months. So, you know, when people say government grinds along, yes, it does. Mr. Remanko, please.
Yes, I just had a question for Mr. Pageant. With this bylaw, will it also allow some type of controls? For example, if you've got a development that deposits a large amount of fill, and then you have the fill sitting there for a particular period of time, will it allow for controls of that fill, that in fact it can be leveled or weed controlled or something?
Yeah, we ask, depending on the size of the project, for plans to be submitted to show how the fill is stored upon the site, what it's used for, and if it is going to be stored for any length of time, that it's covered, protected from erosion, protected from runoff from neighboring properties, and as Councilor Ryan pointed out, protection for neighboring residents for dust control and things of that nature.
And weeds.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Heading for adoption, all in favor? Opposed, carried. Thanks, Mr. Pageant. Very good. Nice to have that done. And on that dust control, I had a little holiday around Christmas in the Coachella Valley, and boy, you look at any site down there, any empty site, if they're all posted, if you see dust coming off this site, they got numbers to phone, and very, very serious situation down there, mostly because of the air quality that deteriorates so fast. And thanks, Councillor Ryan, for bringing that forward. I forgot the dust bowl on Cottonwood. How soon we forget? It's certainly grieved council for a long time when they were doing that long-term construction over there.
Yeah, there's been a number of sites that were affected by dust recently, like the Mariposa site.
Mm-hmm, yeah, same thing there.
A lot of dust.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good.
Thank you. The next item up is council reports. There are 4 of them, and this is when the council is out of town attending conferences and that. And council attended the newly elected official training seminar in Kelowna, and they were there for a few of them there different periods of time. But this would be the $100 a day that they put in for by bylaw to attend these meetings when we are out of town for that period of time. So there's the 4 of them there. I think we can do it as one resolution. Could we have that put forward so these folks get that money? This is part of a public process, so it does go through this board. Councillor
I would so move we adopt the 4 and accept the 4 expense claims.
Okay, and the seconder on that, Councillor Plant. I don't believe there'd be any discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, opposed, carried. Thank you. Next item is a report from the LRCU task force. Mr. Cunningham, please.
Okay, good afternoon, Council. The purpose of this report is to seek Council's support of recommendations from the Lake Recreational and Commercial Use Task Force on the integration as work activities in their business plan. I had a meeting with Council this morning at COW, and we went through the attached table in some detail and came to some agreements on that. And this afternoon, I'd like that followed up with some formal resolutions from Council. First, some background. The LRCU task force was formed in June 21st, 2010, after Council directed staff to redraft a water zoning bylaw using a stakeholder involvement process. The task force was chaired by Councillor Cromwell and co-chaired by Councillor Rhodes. Its citizen members included the community-wide stakeholders, Roger Horton, Sue McCorda, sitting directly to my left, Jürgen Reinhardt, and Janice St. Louis, as well as 4 sectoral water use stakeholders, Drew Casa, Ralph Otto, Rob Roche, and Vincent Verk. Mark Pendergraft also participated on behalf of Area A. The task force met 7 times over the space of a year, starting in a joint meeting with Council and culminating with their final meeting on October 4th. And in October 17th, the task force presented their recommendations to Council. There was 35 recommendations that were formulated and presented to Council by the task force. One of the most important ones, which is presented in the report here, deals with a framework for our new water zoning bylaw, and it identifies 4 zones. And then of the task force's other 34 recommendations, 6 also directly relate to the water bylaw and other zoning issues. There are 5 recommendations for protecting public swimming areas, building on the substantial progress which we made last year in that regard. 7 recommendations for regaining town control over private use of public lake and foreshore resources. Another 7 deal with public safety priorities, and another 6 with environmental protection priorities. And finally, there was a community infrastructure recommendation to reinstall the Jarrow Beach Town Pier. The attached table, which was, as I say, was discussed in detail this morning, proposes how we could recognize and incorporate the LRCU task force recommendations in our business plan. Many of the task force recommendations will be picked up as plan activities over the next 2 years, but some will extend beyond that. However, recognizing priority was placed by the task force in their recommendations. The staff recommends that the public safety ones all proceed starting in the year 2012. The biggest staff workload will fall on planning development services staff, but other departments will also have to pick up some of the workload, including community services, corporate services, and public works. 2 options which are presented. First, that Council accepts the recommendation from the Lake Recreational Commercial Use Task Force and confirms staff proposals for incorporating those activities in our business plan, and that's staff's recommendation. The other is Council does not accept each recommendation from the task force in whole or in part, and or revises proposals for incorporating them as activities in our business plan. As far as the implications, community, following up on the LRCU task force recommendations in our business plan is good public policy. It also sends a message that citizen volunteer contributions do count. Organizational, adoption of the task force's recommendations will add a considerable workload to our staff resources. On the other hand, incorporation of the LRCU recommendations as business plan activities provides a roadmap for staff to organize and prioritize their resources to get the job done. Budget, some of the business plan activities will require a degree of public funding. However, some monies will be returned to the public purse by leasing public resources for private use. Sustainability, and this is a new category in your reports now. Many of the task force's recommendations will promote and are consistent with our sustainability plan by contributing to the sustainability of Osoyoos Lake. Recommendations, staff recommend 1, that Council confirms their support for the recommendations from the Recreational Commercial Task Force and staff's proposals for incorporating them as work activities in our business plan. And 2, Council directs staff to thank task force members for their valuable recommendations and then advise how they are being recognized and acted upon by the town. And in this morning's meeting, it was added by Council that we should make sure that that recognition occurs in the form of a letter signed by yourself, the Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, please. Councilor Kordoff.
well, certainly as a member of this committee and having gone through this in quite a lot of detail, I am totally in favor of it, and I would like to move the adoption for option 1, that we recommend this this report and have it get in action.
Okay, thank you. Seconder on that, please. Councillor Plant. Discussion. Anything further to add to that? I guess I certainly would. I certainly favor that volunteer component. These people put in a ton of time, and I just, when this thing did get kicked off, it was when council had attempted to, perhaps a little heavy-handedly or without due notice, change some of the mooring processes around Osoyoos Lake, and we were met with a large group of people that were quite angry, as I recall, and quite concerned about what that meant to them. And it was in the planning department over there. I think it was full house on about 5 o'clock on a Friday. But from that came that council should be listening more and involving more, and for these people to come forward, and they put in a lot of time on this. We started seeing some of the results of this last year with the buoyed off swimming areas. That was probably the first thing that we saw, and again, that took some tuning. But we started getting it right last year, and we'll get it right this year. You know, there's a learning process. The water levels go up and down, and things move and things change. But it was a great addition to all of our swimming areas as a safety issue, and to help again the tourist community that's a part of this town. So there's a lot of good work coming here. It is far-reaching. This can be designed to really do some long-range planning that we're not going to get there right now. But you know, this could head into restricting boat sizes on the lake and things like that are out there, and they're certainly being talked about. You know, boat sizes, boat horsepowers, and noise, and all that sort of stuff. Once we have this kind of mechanism, we can start moving forward through that again with volunteers and their input coming back and helping us design these plans. So, Mr. Romanko, please.
Just as an additional comment, Mayor Wells, I'd like to congratulate Director Cunningham and the staff in the planning department for facilitating the process and pulling all these reports together in such a format that you know, decision making can be made. There's a lot of recommendations here. There was a lot of thought that went into them, and certainly within having this particular roadmap in our business planning will help. Hopefully we'll have the resources to carry this out within the time frame that's been allocated, and it'll help us also in our budget process, because as alluded to, many of these projects do have some public funding tied to them, and they'll assist us in our budget projects as well.
Great, and that was certainly welcome to recognize the staff contribution here. It was huge. This was a big project, and when you're at that front edge and you're doing a bit of leading in the province, there's not a lot of other areas have this kind of legislation, so there's not a lot of fallback positions that you're trying to garner your data from. So it's always, and again, Osoyoos, I look at, you know, we did that sustainability. We have that sustainability program done, and now other communities are starting to talk about it, and ours was done. And you're going to need a community sustainability plan just to exist here. It's going to be legislated that people have the right, and people in the citizens have the right to know what's going on in the town and whether those are sustainable actions or not. So you can see on our reports here, sustainability is now part of those reports. So it's a real good check. So good work, and yeah, we have this motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Councillor Ryan.
Thank you. Just to follow up Mr. Romenko's comment, it's interesting that it says report number 7. So these reports do come. We've had a lot of them, and they're extensive, and I think that this proposal and this process that we went through has in fact been a new high water mark in our community, and I think it it has conditioned a lot of things, even subsequent, that the process of soliciting input from the public. And of course, the planning department has been the leaders in this because it's usually fallen to them to lead this process, but they've certainly done a super job, and the combination of staff supporting a group of volunteers has really been it's been kind of a case study, and I think there's a lot of credit that's deserved on both quarters.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Anything further? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We're moving forward with the LRCU report. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cunningham.
That's the
Thank
last
you.
one,
Yep.
eh? No more report 8.
Next item under business is a request for a letter of support from the Desert Society. This one doesn't have dollar bills attached to it. Mr. Romanko, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. In front of you, you have a request from the Suez Desert Society, which is applying for a grant to expand the native cover crop study. They are seeking funding from another source, and they are asking council to provide a letter of support. This letter of support is probably part of some of the criteria within the grant program, and so they have graciously provided us a draft letter that outlines what are the priority items to be identified. The Desert Society is a group that has been previously supported by council through letters of support and funding. There are no implications for us within the organization, and the options as presented are to agree to provide the letter of support. The second is to deny the request at this time and request additional information, and the third is to deny the request for a letter of support. And the administration recommends option number 1 to council.
And that resolution, Councillor Plant, please.
Yeah, I'd like to move that forward and say that we would like to agree to provide the attached letter of support.
Thank you. And the seconder, Councillor McCordoff. Any discussion? I guess I have a discussion. I have a question, and I see some Desert Society members in the background, so I'll probably direct this to Ms. Eastlick. Before, we've always seen, and I do see the word native clover, but is this sustainable with our water restrictions in the desert? And are you collecting seed for that, or where's that seed coming from to be able to do this?
Are you talking about this particular? Yeah, I don't think there's any clover at all, and in fact, one of the huge benefits for vineyards of this study is it is all low water use plants.
Okay.
So that's one of the goals of the crop cover, is it has to be low water use.
Okay. And these would be native to your site up there, to the desert site?
To the area that the
To the area. Okay. And then where would that seed come from?
It's a seed mix there, and that's what the second phase of the study is for, is an initial seed mix was done. And what phase 2 would allow us to do is to kind of fine tune the seed mix and see what native crop cover really worked well and had the greatest benefit. We could modify the seed mix and then try it again with the vineyards, but the initial results are really promising.
Okay.
The vineyards that are participating have been really happy with the results they've seen so far in terms of water use and erosion control.
Okay.
I'm sorry, we got the seeds from Safe Fresh Nursery.
Oh, okay.
That's where we got the seeds.
Okay. Because I think back when I was more heavily involved or involved with the Desert Society and the Desert Center, we were collecting it on site there in the early days when it was getting going. But
And we do still do seed collection.
okay.
As well as plant salvage on sites slated for development. So we do still do that as well.
Okay. Okay, moving the letter of support forward. Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We will get that letter out to you soon. Next item of business, Child and Youth Committee appointment. Mr. Romanko, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. The Child and Youth Committee is a group of agencies and representatives from the RCMP, School District, Town of Oliver, and the Town of Vesuvius that meet to share information and discuss current issues regarding youth in the communities of the South Okanagan. The mission of the Child and Youth Committee is to provide a forum for exchanging information to identify, address, and advocate for children and youth needs in the community. We have had in the past a representative of council sitting on this particular committee, and it's now time to reappoint a representative to the committee if council so feels that they wish to continue with the committee. So that is the request that is in front of council right now, to appoint a council representative or not to appoint a council representative, and or to make a decision not to continue to be with this group.
Okay, thank you. Council's wishes, please. Councilor Ryan.
Well, I think we should continue, and so I'd like to move that we do appoint a representative to attend the meetings, and I guess defer to you, Mr. Mayor, as to how we choose that person.
Okay, well, I think I would think that we will have the motion on the floor. I think we should wait till we have full council here, and maybe anyone that's interested should submit a name to Mr. Romanko. And if there's one, you got it, and if there's two, we'll flip a coin. Or we'll maybe make you write a resume, 5,000 words or less.
What about
Yeah.
someone and an alternate? There could be
Yeah,
two, could there?
sure.
Yeah.
Sure. We'd have an alternate, and if someone's strong about it, by all means, show your strength and say that you want that. Yes.
I would like to say that I want that.
And
Mayor
we-
Wells, I
and
just
we
thought I
too.
would,
Why
yeah.
would we go
I'd be
through
happy
that?
to-
Why
I would
we
just
go
like to say,
through-
yeah, I'd love to be part of this committee, and if I can be part of that through council, that would be great.
There you go. So we'll take that as a friendly amendment, Councilor Ryan,
Yes, absolutely.
and the seconder.
And I'd like to be the alternate.
Okay. And there's our alternate. So this would be all in favor? Opposed? There we go. We have appointments, we're attending, and an alternate. So like doing business like that? Under business 5, a request from South Okanagan Minor Hockey to waive some fees at the Sonora Center. Council's wishes, please. Councilor Plante.
Sorry, I'm just catching up on
Okay.
Me.
Councilor McCordock.
I'm just wondering, I have read the letter about this. I'm wondering what council has done in the past. Is this something that has been ongoing? Because I know that they do have minor hockey events quite often. It seems to me that they around Easter time there's always a hockey tournament. So has this type of thing happened before? That
To my knowledge, this doesn't come up. So this I don't
this
think
must be a special one then.
I don't recall them, asking for a lot of things being waived. Maybe they do without a council process. I'll get a call here to Mr. Romanko.
Yes, Mayor Wells, this particular request is a special request because usually the minor hockey associations, they do their activities, their tournaments, and they don't have this type of event. This is actually hosting a provincial level tournament that has requirements that there be a banquet and a number of other festivities. So given that our policy doesn't allow staff to waive anything, and there's fees and charges involved here, that is why this is being brought to council and as a request from the Minor Hockey Association.
Yes, and as I stated, I haven't seen this in my time on council come through very often. Town of Vesuvius is always generous with stuff like this, so I hope we get a motion to waive those fees. Councilor Ryan?
Yes, I would move that we waive the fees associated with the kitchen and the gym rental. And I believe that this would rank with some of the things that we've done when various organizations come to town and we sponsor a coffee break or a meal or something like that. So I would so move in our option 1.
And that seconder, Councillor Plant. Any further discussion? Councillor Ryan.
Well, thank you. Just to say that it's wonderful. We one of the things that we are hoping to do, and I'll be talking at the end of the meeting about my last meeting with Destination Series, is to try to bring in conferences and championships and various things like that. So it certainly fits, I think, in with our target group that we're trying to bring to our community.
Okay. Anything further? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. That will be waived. And again, that's good support for that minor hockey. They do pay for their ice time and that, so we can certainly go out on a limb once in a while. Bringing us up to accounts. General Sunbolt cash requirements to February the 6th, representing balances in the following funds. General Fund, $1,379,533.73. Sun Bowl Arena, $15,087.47. And payroll account, $67,244.17. If there's no discussion on those, they can be moved by consensus. Recommended motion moved by consensus. Thank you. Moving to building permits, and looks like we're always trying to get these up. I know there's a couple new homes coming because I was told by the builder that he's got 2 coming in very soon. Looks like for a total for the month was 46,000. Total to date 46,000. Oh, sorry. Total to date 2012 was 46,000. So nothing too exciting there. But with today's announcement about the correction center, which I'll just touch on at the start of the reports, I certainly think that we'll be seeing some of those number change on these building permit reports. So looking forward to that. Motion to receive, please. Councillor Ryan McCordoff, all in favor. Opposed? Received. And Waterfront Steering Committee, committee minutes from there. Any discussion on those minutes? They can be adopted by consensus. And that is the business part of the meeting. Going to the CAO report. Mr. Remanko, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. Just a few items of activities of some of our departments to highlight. In community development, the manager of community development continues to work with Destination Soyuz in securing support from the hotel operators on the additional hotel room tax. Again, just reminding council that this additional hotel room tax is important to our community, not only for its funds to be used for marketing, but also sets the foundation for our resort municipality status. Mr. Newman continues also to work on developing Operation Appreciation to be held here in the month of May. In community services, Director Gerald reminds me that the Molson Coors Community Cheer Grant for the BMX track has been extended until February 17th, and we need at least 225 cheers in order to be able to be eligible for funding, and apparently we haven't reached that total yet. So I encourage people to go on the Molson Coors Community Grant website and put their support to this particular project to improve our BMX track. The Recreation or the Community Services Department made an application for a $19,000 grant. Kraft Hockeyville, staff has prepared a spreadsheet as part of the submission process, and staff is preparing for the volunteer appreciation event and getting everything in place for Rick Hansen. And the nomination forms will be circulated soon for the volunteer appreciation event. And also the request for proposals for the occupational health services contractor has has closed, and 6 businesses have submitted proposals to us. So that'll be coming to council probably next meeting. And they'll be holding a food safe program at the Sonora Center on March 10th. In terms of finance, it's budget and auditors are the famous words of the month in terms of budget development, and we had the auditors in for phase 1 of the 2011 audit. Planning and development, January 13th, the CS Waterfront Steering Committee had their first meeting of the year, and a major discussion out of the minutes is the design of the new washroom building at Gyra Park. So we'll be looking at various types of options on a particular area. And on January 27th, the Fire Hall Coordination Committee met with the architects, planners to start the pre-design study. And this committee consists of myself, the Director of Planning, the Building Inspector, Fire Chief, and 2 deputies. So we had our initial meeting and kind of laid out what some of the building needs were from the perspective of the fire department, and then also from the perspective of the people who are trying to control some costs and ensuring that it meets our community's needs. So the architect got some good feedback in that area. In terms of the CAO, I just about forgot him. Continuing to work with the moving the Northwest Sewer project ahead, and things are moving along. And although there's always something to deal with on a day-to-day basis in that particular area, we've had an additional meeting of all the directors to review a first draft of the budget, which will be presented to council on the 16th of February. And I was able to attend provincial CAO's conference in Kelowna and picked up some good ideas that I'll be sharing with council in the future. And also partook in a webinar briefing on the new RCMP contract.
Things have been busy. Thank you. It is quite a busy time here. You go through that Christmas lull, and boy, when you come back, you start really paying back for those days off, and particularly when we're trying to get into budget and trying to get people that get all the directors and everybody that has clear time on their calendars, so you can start putting in. We got two full days coming, and I don't. Hopefully that'll be enough, but those are long brutal days. So motion to receive Mr. Romanko's report. Ryan McCordoff, all in favor. That's done there. Okay, just before we get into the councillors' reports, I would just like to say that I left the meeting early this morning to go to the Premier Clark's announcement of the Correction Centre, and that is just a real positive thing for the whole South Okanagan Valley. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. I know there will be detractors somewhere to it, but as I heard up there today, someone said, yeah, there's even people that are against a sunny day. And it was really a great process they went through. They wanted to make sure, the government wanted to make sure that they got it right. There was a lot of towns that were vying for it, and it was interesting that all the towns that vied for it, that was for sure was Lumbee and Penticton. The ones that had the referendums, they got turned down strongly. And so as that happened, sort of opened up the door for a little bit for it to be looking at moving a little further south into a Siouxsie Indian band. They went through 2 referendum processes within their band to be able to get where they are today. So they had one that was actually had to do with the leasing of the land in INA, and the other one was, of course, the plebiscite, whether they wanted it or not on their land. So it's just going to be such a major boost to the South Okanagan. I really don't think that people understand the impact this is going to have. This is altering the South Okanagan as we know it. 240 jobs, probably 1,000 jobs on construction, 500, and as they're coming and going. 500 lots of jobs on the construction. That's 30 months. $200 and some odd million. The guard component, guard administration component is 240 jobs. Those are going to be, they're certificate jobs. You've got a college diploma or something on that. You've got some training, and they're going to start looking at doing the training in Oliver. So there's going to be opportunities there for people to work, and seeing the in a very short period of time, seeing the exodus of young people leaving this community, and seeing them now being able to train or get jobs. I mean, it's just phenomenal, and this is going to lift all the communities. This is going to lift. Osoyoos is probably going to get the smallest bump, because the people that come here, there's going to be amenity shoppers. They're going to, Penticton will be a big draw because it has the pool, and it has the theater, and it has a few more things. So Penticton will be a big draw, but OK Falls will get some. Certainly Oliver will get a lion's share. Osoyoos will get some, and if we get 10%, and that's 24 families. Home incomes coming in here, that's a big bump to our community. And I'm not even talking about the spin-off jobs that are going to be supportive of those 240 families and the tires they buy and the things like that they go through. So it's really, this is the biggest thing that the South Okanagan has seen. And I was just really concerned watching the economy sort of tailspin a bit. And to see this happen is just a real shot in the arm. It's just a real boost of energy. And they certainly made the right decision. I was talking to Premier Clark at lunch, and I explained why it was the right decision, because it was going to boost so many communities and the school. We've got that declining enrollment in the school. This is going to bring young people in here. And they're going to be able to get their kids into the school, and it's going to take some of the pressure off our school system. We've had major concerns with the hospital. It's the same issue. It's a very, very small hospital. If they ever close that, we would be over an hour away from medical services. That's really getting down the road. So we had concerns with that, and of course, council and everyone has been meeting with, and Mr. Romanko, meeting with ministry officials. We've been meeting with school board officials over that issue, meeting with health officials over the hospital issue. And as I told Premier Clark today, I said, maybe we don't have to come crying anymore, come whining anymore about special funding needed to make a small town like this viable with those two services being provided. So. Obviously, I'm excited about it. Council's excited about it. Administration is excited about it, and we all should be. I think it's a real leg up and a real boost to, again, a large area and encompassing a lot of people and a lot of different communities. So that's that. So going into council reports, Councillor McCordock, please.
Oh, okay. So during the last couple of weeks, I've been involved in a couple of things. One, I was at the SILGA conference in Kelowna with the rest of council for 3 days, and we were staying at the Grand and started at 7:15 in the morning, and I think we finished at 8:30 at night. I never got to the casino once, so that's how busy we were. Anyway, it was most interesting, and as a new councillor, it's very important that I try and get up to speed on a lot of issues, and I found it very helpful. I was also here, Barry mentioned the RCMP contract meeting. It was done on webcam, and I watched that, found it very interesting, very, very complicated, and certainly has some things that we, at our town, we need to be concerned about. On January the 28th, I was at the Friends of the Library because I am the council representative on the Okanagan Regional Library Board, so I'm going to my first training session on Friday. The conference was on e-books, how to use the library and get books on your on your reader, and 3 people from Suez volunteers put on workshops on various readers, and I know that that Councillor Ryan was involved in that as well, because he's very involved with the Friends of the Library. So somebody said to me, I think that that was a great idea, and I think the Friends of the Library should put on something every month. So there you go. I was also the other day, on February the 3rd, I went to the first annual Women's Fair, which was at the Sonora Center, organized by Louisa Carvalho, and there was a lady named Crystal Flaman who gave a very inspiring workshop on Discover Your Inner Passion, and it was fun, and it was very well attended for the first one. There was 40 or 50 of us there, and because it's February and it's Heart Month, we were all encouraged to wear red, so here I am in my red. The other thing is that that I have I was championing the weather station, and I just wanted to sort of bring you up to date a little bit on that. I have done a little bit of research on it, as well as some other people have been doing it as well, and you notice that there was a terrific article in the paper, the Suez Times, on January the 11th about what is involved, and it's quite a it is quite a procedure. I have talked to several residents in the town who tell me about weather stations being in their yards, and it was, I think it was the Ministry of Transportation and the Summerland Research Station that looked after this at one point. Anyway, we're now at the stage that that staff here are looking at what would be the criteria for moving the weather station from its present location, what are the costs, and what expertise is necessary in order to do this. So please know that we're still working on it, and it's a work in progress. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for your report. It's just interesting because also we came up when we were doing the council reports for remuneration, but you go out there to these conferences, and when you're starting at 7 and 7:30 in the morning, you go to UBCM, but you get up, like, well, usually I'm wearing a tie when I'm down there, and so you get up, you get showered and dressed, and on the go from 7 o'clock in the morning right till the supper hour. So they're long days that your head hurts, but I'm sure this is rookie camp that they were at. So Councillor Plante, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. Yeah, you're right. That was a rookie camp for us, and that was the first thing we did after our last council meeting. We headed over there to partake in that. Yes, the 7 o'clock was early. Even through lunch, they had presenters. So as we ate, we were still getting presenters. So there was a lot to learn there, and I soaked in as much as I could, and hopefully I can bring it back and use some of that here. Talked about everything from our roles in governance as councillors to, information on our MIA, our Municipal Insurance Association. So it was a large amount of stuff in that 3 days, and I took a lot from that. And again, we'll hopefully be able to use it here in the future. The other thing we did that week was we had a great presentation actually from OIB and the Federal Corrections on the Incomeep House, halfway house, and that presentation, initially when I heard it, I always think in my head we're talking about community safety, public security. What are we looking at? And when we went to this presentation, what I can say is when I came out of there, they made me feel as though it's something that we should really, really look at. And I think it's going to be great when they do their public consultations with certain people coming down and talking about this. And I think it took a lot of the fears away that I may have had, or the concerns that I had. And I think they did a really good job on that presentation. Then we went to January 27th, invited to the Family Literacy Day, and that was a lot of fun. Got a chance to go there. Now I showed up a little late so I didn't get a chance to read, but I just wanted to say too, we had some great parent volunteers that showed up to also read, and but it's great for us, I think, as town to continue to strengthen that relationship between our schools, between our school boards and trustees and the town. So it's just fun to be in there. That's it's a great place to be, and that's where I like to be to be around the kids, because that's where the future goes with sustainability in these schools. So I did forget one day, which was we had our first meeting, the Economic Development Advisory Committee, and we had a great group of people there. One thing I do want to mention is that we had one person that could not, had to resign from the committee. His name is Wes Shaw, and reasons are he has a job down on the coast, so unfortunately he couldn't make those meetings. But our group consists of very diverse people in this community, and they felt that it was not necessary at this point to add somebody else onto that committee. They are looking at working in conjunction with our sustainability plans. And so there's room for others to come involved when we talk about sub-chairs and doing different events throughout those strategies, those 9 strategies that we had. So there's going to be lots of need for community involvement. It was a great meeting. We just really went through the basics. And now our next meeting, which is in the next couple of weeks, we're going to sit down and really go through strategic planning for that. So I look forward to that meeting as well. And I think that gets me kind of up to date. I think the next one that I'm looking forward to is our next conference, which is on building sustainability communities, and it's in Kelowna, and I'm very excited about that because, again, we're going to have some great presentations on how we can start to really look at our future and becoming a sustainable community, the people that we can work together, and the different type of programs. And I believe Mr. Wells is actually a presenter at that as well. Am I correct on that?
I think twice. So.
Twice. So there you go. So I look forward to that, and that's it for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Plante. Good report. Councillor Ryan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, we had a 3-week hiatus between meetings, but there were a lot of things happening. And I want to congratulate the organizers of the Desert Sun Gala. They did a super job. It was a beautiful event, and they got a lot of support from community organizations as well, and businesses to make it a successful one. The Family Literacy Day was enjoyed. I enjoyed it on 2 occasions. One with the children, reading to them, and that was a lot of fun. And I was really impressed. The Vice President, Ms. Benoit, arranged it, and I was really impressed. We walked in the door, and there were this group of students who were the guides, and they had name tags, and they took us to our assigned places, and they were very impressive young people. And then the next day, we had about 50 people come to learn how to use their e-readers and how to get books from the library, e-books. And I don't know if the Friends of the Library is up to doing something every month, but they were invited by the Oliver Friends of the Library to put on a similar one in Oliver for them. So it's always nice to have the people in Oliver coming to us and asking us to show them how to do things. Anyway, congratulations to the 3 people who put a lot of work into that, and everything you could possibly want to know about these e-readers they seem to cover. We did have a good presentation from the OIB and from Corrections Canada, and I just want to remind you that the 14th of February there's going to be an information meeting at the site on 45th Street, so I don't think you'll be able to miss it. They'll probably have signage. And again, congratulations to the Osoyoos Times and to Keith Lacey for the coverage that he and his staff have given us over the last few issues since he's been here. they've really been covering in depth issues in the community and happenings and council activities, and it's becoming an indispensable part of living in the community to read that newspaper. We had some computer training, so happily or hopefully we will be able to use our programs a lot more easily and find out more and take a little bit of the pressure off of staff to always be asking them for information, and now we know where we can get it ourselves. I want to just say that the Social Justice Film Series, which was last took place 2 weeks ago. It was The Remaining Light, and it was about senior care in care facilities and so on. And there were about, again, 35 people who came, and the interesting thing was we learned about a number of services. There were about 4 presenters about different services for seniors in the community, and it was most enlightening. And the next one is going to happen in 2 weeks. It's the last Thursday of this month. So that will be on, when? That will be the 29th? I thought I had it written down here, but anyway, the last Thursday. That's the easiest way to remember it. At the Elks at 7 o'clock. And I think the only other thing I want to say is that I did attend, on behalf of the council and the community, a meeting of Destination Osoyoos, and I just want to say a word about them, because as I mentioned earlier when we were discussing the provincial hockey tournament, a junior hockey tournament, Pee Wee, that they now have a staff person on contract to represent and to sell the community, Osoyoos, to targeted audiences, and those are meeting planners and government agencies and various associations and sports teams. So we're trying to, using this the abilities and the experience of, in this case, Ms. Cheryl King, to reach these various groups of people, to invite them to have conferences or conventions or meetings or tournaments in our community. So they're different now. They're really a much more finely focused marketing organization, and they're marketing our community and sort of looking for all the little ways in which they can attract various groups to come and realize the wonderful place that Osoyoos is, and how important and how rewarding it would be to come here and to have one of their events. So I'm sure that we will be seeing a lot more happening as a result of this initiative. And that's my report.
Thanks, Councillor Ryan. I'm not going to touch on an awful lot of items. Again, the correction center announcement, that was big enough to handle me for January and February. I did one. It's interesting. I told the Legion, I'll take this to council and we'll get it on TV, and you get some TV coverage. So here's for the TV. I accepted this on behalf of the town and our staff, and it's a Poppy Appreciation Award from the Osoyoos Legion, just for the support given during the Poppy campaign. And they'd moved from when they moved from the Elks and moved their service center down to the Sonora Center and that. So I'm going to pass this through Mr. Romanko over to the folks at the Sonora Center, and it's always nice when people recognize what you're doing. The staff's going that extra mile, and so they were recognized there. So I did like that. Just a couple things from the regional district that I thought were interesting. And this is a little bit late, but we did pass the gas tax funding. We got off kilter on our meeting schedules. We did pass the distribution of the gas tax, and it looks like so the regional people went one way, and they are gonna split their $700,000 between the new sewer outfall at Okanagan Falls that was going to go into the river. It is going into the river, and of course that's been driving me absolutely hairy, even thinking about that, because we have all our endocrine disruptors and many other nutrient loaded issues there, and it was originally designed to go biological filtration into the wetlands. And that's coming back onto the table, and this is some of the funding that's going to help get that back onto the table. So I'm quite excited about that. And the second program was to improve all around that whole Gallagher Lake and Oliver. They have a real sewer issue there going into Gallagher Lake, and it's just such a small little pocket, and it's half on OIB land, Osoyoos Indian Band land, and half on public land, Crown Public. So again, the lake quality was deteriorating rapidly. There's a lot of mobile homes there, and I guess the soil strata and infrastructure isn't conducive to septic tanks. So they are actually getting a program together, and they're going to tie in to the new septic system in Sankulman Park. So while we sell sewer services to the Osoyoos Indian Band, here's the reverse of this coming along, where they have this brand new plant in there, and they are going to sell sewer services to that whole Gallagher Lake area. So a couple of great cleanup stories for the environment and for the water. So I just thought that was really good. And the municipalities, we couldn't pull together quite as strongly. We had to be a little more parochial. We were urged to pull together. But, you know, like the regional districts, they don't really provide services. But when you're a community, like the mayor of Oliver, he said, I'd have a hard time saying that they drastically need a new water supply for the town of Oliver. And he said, I really couldn't. And the one that we were looking at to do regionally of a regional significance was trails, hiking trails, bike trails, interconnecting the communities. And he said, I'd have a hard time going down to the folks there and saying, well, we need a water well real bad. We're on boil water advisory, but I voted to put the money into a trail system. So while we did take a parochial approach, it's understandable why you end up there. And the town of Osoyoos is doing energy efficiency for the new fire hall, which I believe will be geothermal and issues along like that. So solar, geothermal, all high energy efficient models for the fire hall. And there's again looking at going probably maybe to a wetland, but looking at a stormwater runoff situation, and we're always trying to get rid of those. We still got that dozen of them out there that when there's an opportunity, we'll see what we can do about it. So that's what we're doing with the gas tax funding. Again, on sort of water sewer related, I got a call that I should get out to cottages on the lake, which would be the northeast corner of Osoyoos Lake. Van Maren is the developer, and it's those cottages with the white rocking chairs that are ubiquitous to the area. I guess they don't have sign bylaws, but I went out there and had a look at the site, and there's four units being built right now. So when people think that that's down the road, that is, and I got a call that there was some septic tanks going in, and I'm just sort of in the process of fleshing that out for a little bit more information. I believe that they were just temporary because, you're not going to put a sewer system in and that has I believe a 400 unit build out. That's very, very big. And so it's well underway. And I know the individual that has the next piece of property, and that's going to come on too. And I think that's maybe 300 units there. So we certainly want to make sure that and I'm working also through the regional district to actually get the bylaw of no tertiary treated sewage effluent into any water course. Period. It's got to go to a land filtration first. So that's my world of water. So, and I think that's all. So, entertaining a motion to adjourn. Councillor Ryan, McCordoff, all in favor. We're adjourned. Oh.